These are opinions, not facts, friends, so please calm the farm. This is just mainly to start a discussion. Hey guys, how's it going? I am Dude Not So HD, and today I'm going to be making my first video in a while, but you won't see any of the previous videos. And we're making it on an interesting topic. It's probably a strange topic to start a YouTube channel or first video on. I don't know if I'll be posting any more videos, but this has sort of come out of nowhere, and I feel like I really want to make a video on this. And this is on the whole Fortnite is dying topic, or it might be dying, slowing down, whatever way you look at it. I've just been meaning to make a video on it because I've seen a lot of these videos about Fortnite dying, and I just want to give a different take on the whole situation. So I'll give you a bit of background information on me. I didn't play much of Chapter 1. I played Season 3, into Season 3, fully through Season 4, and then I dropped it somewhere along the lines. Somewhere in Season 5 is when I dropped it. And to be honest, for a while there, I kind of despised the game. I really hoped for it to die. So it'll be an interesting little perspective from a person who wanted Fortnite to die to a person who ended up picking up the game during Season 2 of Chapter 2. Only because, I don't know what happened, but I somehow fell in love with the game again. I think it's probably because the loot pool was trash. It was a bit boring, but by boring I mean that there wasn't a lot in the game, so there wasn't a lot for me to really have to deal with other than to learn how to build and edit and all that crap. So yeah, so that's going to be it. It's going to be a perspective from an outside source, and what I see Fortnite as now, what it was then, and why I feel like the game has probably died down a bit. So I guess we'll start with Season 10. Season 10 seems to be the one that everyone mainly despises from Chapter 1. And I think the biggest reason is the mechs. Everyone hates the mechs, and I understand why. I mean, I didn't play during that time, but I remember seeing clips. I remember, obviously, all my friends were playing Fortnite, so they would tell me how stupid these things were. And I think that really didn't help it. I think probably from what I've seen and the map and everything, that it probably wouldn't be nearly as bad if it weren't for the mechs themselves. So if they had been removed just to start off with, or giga nerfed, we might be saying Season 10 was one of the best seasons ever. So what ends up happening after Season 10 is Epic faces a huge backlash because of this shitty mech idea. But this isn't the first time, obviously, we've seen broken shit in the game. We've seen broken shit, the sword, the ballers, all the good shit. The planes, everyone hated the planes. I kind of think they're cool, but most people hated them. So lots of people like to point to these type of items or features in the game is what really put a little bit of a stain on Fortnite. However, I disagree a little bit with that. And my thinking is, if you think about some of these clips, obviously everyone's seen, especially obviously some of these things happened in competitions. And I think that's where the line should have been drawn, that you shouldn't see this in arena, it shouldn't be in tournaments, because it is just completely broken. And to get your hands on the sword in arena, that type of RNG and that type of OP item is just ridiculous. Should never be in a tournament. However, those are the tournaments that people are most likely going to remember. The big moments. Everyone's laughing about it. The hundreds of ballers, or not hundreds, but 20 ballers on in-game, 10 planes in the sky just riding around. I mean, you've seen all these clips, famous clips, and really funny moments. Those are going to be big moments everyone remembers. Although I still do agree they should never have been in tournaments in the first place. However, I disagree with them never having been in the game. They definitely should have been in the game, because I feel like a lot of people got fun out of them. Problem was that the mechs, especially the mechs, were way, Epic just turned it up to fucking 11 when they added these things. And I don't really know why they just didn't pull them out when they knew everyone was hating on them. But I feel like because of the backlash they got with the mechs, they almost did a full 180 from there. Because anything that's been released after that, obviously they did a big reset with Chapter 2, and I've got my own ideas as to why they've done that. But I also feel that anything that they can add since then, they add with such caution that it's kind of boring. I mean, you take the cars, for instance. The cars, everyone was thinking, fuck yeah, can't wait for cars to be added. This is going to be sick, going to be driving around. But it's the most nuded version of mobility that I think we've ever seen. I mean, if you think about the quad crashes, the ballers, the planes, let's just think more land, quad crashes, ballers, planes, the hoverboard. These things didn't have penalties on whatever terrain they were driving on. So now they add cars, and because they're so afraid for anything to be too broken, they, like I said, release them as a nuded version of what they could be. So now you have to make sure you're sticking to the road, because if you're driving off-road, you're probably just going to get shot to shit. The only one that's decent is the truck, or the, I guess most of you would call it the pickup truck. That one works decently off-road, but it's just such a far cry from the mobility we used to have, or used to be in Chapter 1 when it comes to vehicles. And I feel like that's a bit of the problem, because no one wants to use it. It was delayed so long that everyone stopped giving a shit by the time they came out, and now they're just sort of there. They're sort of boring, and not many people use the cars. How many cars do you see, driving around? Every now and then, maybe if you're going from one POI to another that's really close, you can still use them as mobility, but they're quite underwhelming. And I feel like this is part of the problem, is Epic isn't willing to release something too broken because they don't want to go full bull on certain things anymore. And I know that sounds a bit strange, because obviously we don't want super broken stuff, but that was part of Fortnite's charm for a lot of the players. I do still think that there needs to be balance, of course, especially between pubs and arena. But those are some of the things that Fortnite was known for. Was the crazy shit that you would find in this game, the quirky shit, like the balloons. I mean, they weren't the best thing ever added, but they were so quirky that it ended up being so fun to use these things. And that's what Fortnite was all about. And I feel like there's a bit of a problem now, because they just don't want to add what almost seems like anything fun, because it might break the game. But I feel like we're probably missing a little bit of game-breaking stuff. Now, I do know that obviously we're in Season 4, and we've got some of the abilities, but I've also got a few questions, or a few notes on these abilities, and whether or not they would have ever, if something as broken as these things would have ever been added, if not for basically the contract they have between Epic and Marvel, and what the season would have looked like, and what the next season is going to look like without the contract. Because I'm a little bit worried about Season 5, because I am thinking that maybe they've gone a little bit bigger this season because of that, but we'll get to that later. So that's sort of my take in terms of broken things added to the game. I do feel like they have a place, especially in pubs, and I feel like they used to have this go big or go home mentality that you're not seeing much anymore. I remember seeing a loot pool sort of image, and the differences in the seasons, and I might bring it up here, in Chapter 1 versus Chapter 2, and especially in the first couple of seasons, I think up until Season 3, because obviously the loot pool has widened a little bit. The biggest thing you'll see in the first 3 seasons of Chapter 2 is it just screams balance to the point of boredom. And so many people, I see this a lot, they make this take that like the reason Fortnite died, or was dying, all this, is because of bad updates and broken shit. I mean, if that's the case, if that really is the case, then why aren't people playing the game more now? Why weren't they playing during Chapter 2, Season 1, 2, and 3? Because it was the most balanced the game had ever been, other than the mythic weapons. But other than those outliers, the game was in the most balanced it had ever been. Yet that's when people were dropping off. There was a bit of a spike during COVID, the start of COVID. A lot more people were playing it. But I just don't understand this take of the game's got broken shit in it, thus I'm not playing it. And then when it removes broken shit and it's got a lot of balance, you're not playing it. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know if it's completely just of broken things. And I think there's also a disconnect between. You gotta remember, so I'm not a pro player, and I wouldn't say I'm a casual player either. But yeah, so I'm good enough to still think I'm bad. If I versed a bad player, I would kill him. Versed a good player, I would die. So this is coming from someone sort of somewhere in between. And I just think, as I said before, that this whole balance theory is needed for Arena, but I don't think they should do it to pubs. I think we need more fun in pubs. We need more broken shit, because that's why people played. That's why people love playing this game, because it was just, like I said, it always had crazy shit in it and crazy moments. And because of those, that's what people were chasing, those crazy moments. Those fun moments you could have with your friends because of ridiculous shit you could do in this game. So that's sort of my idea on sort of the broken items in the game, or the broken things that Fortnite adds, or Epic Games adds to the game. So the next thing I want to move on to, and I touched on it a little bit, is Chapter 2. So Chapter 2 to me is sort of really the definitive moment when Fortnite started to turn, sort of. It was already turning, and I think that was more due to the fact that, like, there are lots of people are going to jump ship after they've played a while, whether the game's fun or not. You know, you can continue to make the game fun, but not everyone's going to keep on board. I think there's always going to be a peak, and there's always going to be a come down. You know, but there'll be a plateau, and you'll always have lots of players. And I think Fortnite, regardless, will have that. Will have a lot of players. I don't think this game's dying anytime soon. But I do think that Chapter 2 is where the spiral started a bit. And that's because they hit the reset button. Now, I do have a few ideas as to why Epic Games might have done this. You know, if you think about it, you're trying every season, basically, a new season release, you're trying to one-up yourself. And at some point, you hit power creep, you hit sort of a brick wall when it comes to ideas. And it's getting harder and harder to one-up yourself. And also, people themselves start to get over it. I think people were starting to get over having an update cycle every week, which now seems like we wish we had that again. But then could also come to a point where people were over it because they were sick of the game changing so much all the time and they couldn't keep up with it. So Epic Games sort of caught up to themselves, I think. And what they did is they probably hit the reset button. And I would not be surprised, as we're seeing now in Season 4, things are picking up. And so maybe they do the exact same thing. They start to re-add shit, sort of add extra stuff here and there. Season 5, Season 6, Season 7, and these get bigger and bigger and better over and over and over, up until we get Season 10, and then they hit the reset button again. It's not a bad strategy, because you have ups and downs. You have clear ups and downs, like high points and low points in your game. But people also, that stops a lot of sort of getting bored. So for the hardcore players, the people really sticking around, yes, they will get bored. But for casual players, they will leave when the game gets reset and then come back and enjoy the game all over again when Fortnite starts to go apeshit again. So I feel like they could do that. I don't know if they will do that. But I do think Chapter 2 has been a bit of a big stale point in the game, and especially making the first 2 seasons last for I don't know how many days altogether. When you think about it, I mean, we've had almost 1 year since Chapter 2 started, and we're on our 4th season when we should be on Season 6 or 7. I don't know the exact dates, but those first 2 seasons lasted forever. And so you've got these elongated seasons that don't have shit all in them, And like, how are you not meant to get bored? So I actually think that chapter 2 is more of a focal point in where Fortnite started to go down a bit. And it's not just that, it's ever since then. It was somewhere during season 10 they got rid of patch notes, and I feel like they did that because they knew if you saw a patch note where they said, hey, yeah, we're removing fucking everything in the game, and we're not adding anything, we're just removing a bunch of shit, but at least you have, the names on your screen are all pretty now, and there's sick fucking lighting in the game, that's cool, and there's a new map. But yeah, we're just removing half or 75% of the loot pool, so good luck with that. And no fucking mobility in the first season other than you can swim, and when you swim, the fish swim out of your way. How sick is that? I mean, that's a little inside COD joke, but yeah. I think especially the first season. I also think the second season was pretty bad, and season 3 is when things started to pick up, just like it did in the first chapter. So that's why I'm hoping that this is more of a strategy on Epic's side to sort of hit the reset button themselves too, and then go balls deep later on. Along with that, in Chapter 2, they also changed the engine. They went to the Chaos engine, or updated to the Chaos engine, which didn't change a lot, but did obviously change what I think is the look and feel of the game. They added the cool new lighting, the better texts for everyone there, and I mean, it's a nice change. It's always nice to have it looking prettier, but at the same time, I do feel like it takes a little bit away from what the Fortnite feel was, especially in Chapter 1. But with all this changing of the engine and making things look pretty, what happened to biomes? Why is that not much of a thing anymore? It's either a snow part of the map or a green part of the map. It's fucking shit. It's boring. When we look at the first map and how it evolved and how it changed to, four or five different biomes, and just, you clearly knew where you were and and each part had a different feel to it, and we just don't have that, and it just feels like such a waste. And so that probably brings me on to my next part. I'm sorry this video is already long and I still have a few parts to go, so I'm happy if you're still here, and if you are, thanks for that. But so yeah, my next part would be the map, the new map. Now I know for everyone hates the new map. Well, I wouldn't say hates, but obviously doesn't like it as much as Chapter 1's map. And I think that's probably got a little bit to do with nostalgia, of course, that plays a role. But also, I mean, to be fair, it is inferior. And I think there's certain reasons why. So they added 20% more map, or 25% more map. And I don't know who was asking for this, if anyone. And if they were, it probably was a bad idea to start off with, because it's too big. It's too big for the amount of players in the game. If you're going to add 20-25%, however much it was, to the map, then add 20-25% more players, because there's not enough players. The game is so fucking dead in the mid game, it's insane. You get out your POI and there's 20-15 people left, and then you just play out this mid game to end game, and it's just running simulator or farming simulator from there. You're not doing anything else, and then you might, if you're lucky, run into one team, but you won't see anyone until the third or fourth circle, and then you play out your end game, which is also usually pretty anticlimactic. So I think the map size is a problem, and I don't know what they can do. I've got some ideas what they can do to fix it. Obviously adding more players, as I said before. Making it, I don't know, run speeds, which sounds a bit weird. Making it easier to traverse the map, obviously. Mobility, and they have added some mobility, is helpful. But I also feel like because the map is so big, people tend to just drop hot. They're just a hot drop, because They want to get in the action, they want to fight and move on. And so they just drop first straight away so they can play, because there's no point in dropping on the other side of the map or even in the middle of the map, because it's going to take too long to get around, even with mobility. And so I feel like that we need more POIs as well, because there's some huge gaps in the map too, where you ask yourself, like, what the fuck is this for? I don't give a shit about rolling hills. I wanna fight people. I wanna loot and do all the things I need to do. So I feel like they probably need to add players and maybe increase, maybe not so much the running speeds. I don't think they should do that, because that's going to be very weird in box fights and build fights and all that. But increase glide speeds, the bus traveling over the map, get people on the map faster wherever they might want to be. Maybe they have a favorite POI, they don't drop there because it's on the other side of the bus run. So make it quicker for them to get there. Even if you just increase the glide speed of the initial glide out of the bus, instead of, if you're using, one of the sentinel hands or something along those lines, just keep those glide speeds the same, but the initial getting onto the map needs to be quicker, I feel. So yeah, map is a problem. Second, it's not second at this stage, but the next thing I want to go on to is reboot vans. Like, fucking hell, how outdated is this shit? Can we just fuck them off already? Or change them? The idea that the card system still exists blows my mind. Why? Why do we need to pick up a card, and why does the card expire? I feel like you should just be able to reboot one of your friends, one of your teammates, and maybe change it to something like using mats to reboot someone. And even if they have a problem with the fact that, too many people are going to be rebooted too often, or someone's going to be able to be rebooted over and over, have a sort of a limit. So have, the first time you reboot someone, it's 150 or maybe less, 100 mats of each mat to reboot them. If they die again, this time 150 or 200. And if they die again, even higher. And if they die again, then you just don't have the mats to reboot them at that stage. So maybe like a 3 life system. You can't get rebooted 3 times into the game. But change this reboot system. It's very strange to me that, and this is what I mean by the differences in what Epic does now versus what they used to do then. Apex Legends comes out, and 2 weeks later they introduce, I think it's 2 weeks to a month later, Epic introduce reboot vans. Now we've got Warzone, and they've got a gulag system and just a buyback system. And Epic Games is just like, nah, fuck it, we'll just keep the reboot vans. They're working just great. And then they buffed it just, a few patches ago, and no one fucking noticed that it actually is a little bit quicker now to reboot someone. No one gives a shit, because that's not what we want. We want that shit just removed in general. Let me just walk up to the reboot van, click on my friend's name, and reboot him for the mats. Nice and easy, nice and quick, and then we go from there. So I think that reboot vans need to be removed or changed. Shouldn't be removed. A gulag system, I'm not too sure about that, because I don't know how you would do that in Fortnite. I don't know if you want a box fight, or I don't know. It just doesn't, and that would really make noobs especially feel out of place if they have to box someone or do something weird. So I don't know how you would balance a gulag system, especially when it's a noob versus someone that's really good, because they're just going to get shit on 9 times out of 10. So yeah, I don't know about a gulag system, but I do think that as I said before, the reboot system just needs to be completely changed and more effective. And the reason for that is then we'll actually have fights throughout the game, because that's part of the problem. The mid game is dead. We need more people on the map to continuously fight. The best games are if you're fighting from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. Keep the action going. That's what people want. People want to continuously fight. And if everyone's gone by first circle, then it just becomes a bit boring. So I definitely think that that needs to be changed, and something needs to be done about the mid game, because even if you add all this cool shit into the game, you still have this huge problem in the middle of your games, and people are still going to leave. People are still not going to want to play because it's boring to watch, it's boring to play. And the final topic I wanted to talk about was arena/pro play. The problems of having the two so similar. Now, obviously, they've changed a bit of that, and now more and more every season they're taking certain things out of arena to balance it a little bit more, but they also half-ass it half the time. Like this season, where all the abilities, or a decent amount of the abilities, aren't in arena, but some of them are. Like the Doom gloves and Doom bomb. Now the Doom gloves are pretty shit, but the Doom bomb can actually do quite a bit of damage and helps breaking builds. How that thing's allowed in arena and comps, I have no fucking clue why that's allowed in there, and everything else is not. It doesn't make any sense, and it just doesn't have, there's no consistency with it. So I really think things like that shouldn't be in, and this is where they really need to be balancing the game more and going for a balanced type of play, I guess. And the rank system, or the arena system in the game, is a bit of a fucking joke. Honestly, compared to every other ranked system from other games, there's really no incentive to play it, and so I really think that needs to be changed. Now, I think I want to make a separate video on the problems I have with arena and what can be changed, so I won't get too much into that, but I definitely do think a better ranked system and better reasons to play, to have people playing it and want to play it and keep them engaged, would help a lot. Part of the other problem is when tournaments are on and watching the game. Yes, of course it's going to be hard to watch a game where there's 100 players in and spectating them, but they really need to do something about the spectating client, because whenever there's a tournament on, most people are going to watch people that are doing viewing parties, that are watching those that are already streaming their tournaments. Otherwise, we're stuck with the spectator client, which is just dog shit, just complete dog shit. Someone will be in a fight, and then it'll just lag. In the middle of a fight, some crazy shit's about to happen. Two dudes have now, one's jumped into another's box, and shit's about to go down, and then we just lag, and then we see the final result, and someone died. And it's like, it's just so anticlimactic. It would be so much better if they just had a better spectator client where shit like that didn't happen. And it just confuses me, because it just feels like the exact same spectator client that you would use to view your own games. And then finally, they need to do something about the tournament servers that host all these tournaments, because somehow they are laggier than normal games. Now, obviously that makes sense because there's more people packed into the game at certain times than there would usually be, like 40 people, 50 people in tiny circles. So that is going to make the game lag a bit, but you would think that at least in there, and I mean, they said it at some point that they were going to update the servers, and then it just never happened. But it really, if you want the game to have like an esports side of it, you want to make this big World Cup every year. Now, obviously, we missed it this year. You really need to be updating those features so people are invested watching and are on the edges of their seats without getting completely blue balls by a quick lag in the spectator system and fucking it for everyone else. So yeah, that's sort of, funnily enough, like a short version of sort of my reasons or my perspective on why I think the game is not at its best state. I don't think it's dying. I think it's still got a long life ahead of it, and like I said, I really hope that it gets better, and I'm sure it will, as long as it is Epic's plan to do these little resets and then going up from there. So as I said, these are a few of the points from maybe a bit of a different perspective. I think I'll make a video about some arena changes that I think would help the game, as well as a video on the next season and why I'm a little bit worried that it might not live up to, well, I don't know if there's any hype, but I'm a little bit worried about the next season because of the contract for this season, and if it will be better or if it'll just be the same old shit before the Marvel collaboration happened. So yeah, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and yeah, hopefully I will reappear and we'll see how it goes. Awesome. You guys have a good one, and I'll see you next time.